In this video, we're going to talk about what to do when you get a big lump sum of money, how to think about that. So this is another mindset video. I haven't made a mindset video in a while, but this is what we're going to talk about in this video, okay? And it's a good time to make this video because in the recent month, in the last 30 days, I've received two pretty significant lump sums of money. So I'm going to talk about sort of how I felt getting those things, and then also like, okay, now that I've got them, what do I do about it? Okay. So the very first thing that happens when you get a big lump sum of money is that your mind goes crazy with all the kinds of things that you can now buy, experiences that you can have, and that sort of thing. Because you think like, oh, okay, well now I have all this money, all my problems that I've been working to get out of, such as debt or living paycheck to paycheck or anything like that, they're now solved, right? They are solved practically, and on paper they are, but your mind is still working in that capacity. It's like we are really still caveman running around with all this fancy equipment and, driving cars and all this, but our mind, the way that we communicate and, relate with each other is still really, really old and prehistoric. So when you get a big lump sum of money, and it could be from an inheritance, it could be a gift, it could be a payout, an IPO or acquisition or merger or anything like that, your mind kind of tends to do the same thing, but nothing's really changed. The day before, when you have very little, when I had very little in my checking account, and then the day after, when now I have a lot, so to speak. It's not a lot, but it's a lot more than I had in my checking account. Nothing has changed in my mind. But I got all these thoughts saying, okay, wow, now I can do all this cool stuff. Now I can get this. Now I can do that. Now I can quit my job. Now I can do all this kind of crap, right? And if I were to go and fall for those things, then the receiving of that money would be the thing that destroys me. That's what happens to a lot of lottery winners. They get a lot of money, but their mindset is they still have a poor mindset. Because I've talked about this before, but the amount of money that you have has nothing to do with your mindset. You can be a poor person with a lot of money, a big bank account, but your mindset's going to be the same. Nothing's going to change. Okay. So when they get all this money from the lottery, they have maybe a year, maybe 2 years. There's some amount of time. There's a period of time in which they go through life, and then they end up right back where they started. There's a funny article that I remember seeing where there was a guy who was a garbage man, and then he won the lottery, got a lot of money. I think it was maybe $1 million. It was 6 figures or 7 figures. It was a big amount of money, right? And then a couple years later, he goes and, he has a good time. He blows it all on blow and hose. And then he comes back a couple years later and he's a garbage man again, living the same life that he had. That's because nothing changes when you get a lot of money. Nothing changes. You're still exactly the same person. There's no difference. And that's a really, really hard concept for people to wrap their head around and to understand, because most of your life, your adult life rather, and even in your childhood, you've probably seen people chasing after money. You might have seen your parents chasing after money or scrimping or scrounging around and trying to save as much as they could. And then when you started working, you realize that, oh man, money drives a lot of things in my life. I need the money to pay for things, and I can only make so much in my job. And oh my God, what kind of system am I trapped in? So it's really so you start developing this idea that, well, if I had a lot of money, then I wouldn't have all these problems that I'm having in my life right now. I'd be able to do whatever I wanted. I could forget all this stuff. I wouldn't have to go to work anymore. I could live the life of my dreams. And you've made money your God. And what happens when you get a whole bunch of money in your bank account, you might think like, oh my God, I've made it. But after a while, you realize that money is a horrible god. Money is a shitty god. And it teaches you. I mean, it doesn't have to teach you, but if you're aware and you look at yourself and you can see what's going on with you inside of your mind and inside of you, right? Then you'll see that none of the problems that you had before have been solved at all. They're all still there, and they're all just magnified. They're all just magnified now. If you had a spending problem and then you get a whole bunch of money, you're going to have a spending problem. The spending problem is going to be the end of you. Money doesn't solve it. Money changes nothing. It really doesn't. And many of you watching this, you might be watching this and you think, man, this guy's full of shit. If I had a bunch of money, all my problems would be solved, right? And I'm not going to try and convince you otherwise. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to like make you believe that what I'm saying is true. But I will say that, yeah, you should go and make that happen. You should get yourself to a point where money is not an issue in your life. You could pretty much do whatever you want. You reach the societal accepted definition of what is financial independence or what is financial freedom. Get to that point and then come back and watch this video and let me know what you think. Leave a comment below, because I'm curious on what you think. This is how I've developed my view on money. So I challenge you to go. If you say, hey, you're full of shit, man, a lot of money is going to change my life, then I challenge you, go get it. Go do it. Make it happen. See what happens. See what happens. If money is your god, prove it. Prove it that it works. I want you to do that. Because, hey, listen, the other thing, I mean, that if you do go and make that happen, when that does happen, you'll realize, oh, yeah, money is a shitty god. But at the same time, your bank account's going to be very nice. That's a positive. That's a good thing, right? God, I don't think God wants you to be poor. God doesn't want you to be poor. He wants you to have money so you can operate within the system and go do all the things that you want to do. Use that money for good. Bring righteousness upon the world. So make it happen. All right, so what we're going to do here, this video is about what you should do when you receive a lump sum of money. So there are two lump sums of money. Two things happened in the last 30 days that brought a lot of money into my sphere. All right. So the first thing is that the company that I used to work at went and got acquired by a larger company. And when that happens, right, the larger company buys up all the shares, and part of the benefit of working there, I got a certain number of shares that vested over time. They bought those shares, and this is the amount that they paid me to purchase the shares from me. So that just happened recently, right? So this is my income statement for January. I'm putting in this here, prematurely before putting anything else in there. Okay. The second thing that happened was that at the end of last year, I went over this in the last video, but I got a gift of 30 grand. So there was a large cash inflow adjustment to the net income that happened last month in December. So the combination of these two items brought in a total of just under 130 grand into my system in a very short amount of time. Okay. And I'm not going to lie, like my mind was doing that thing that I was talking about earlier. It's like, oh my God, there's so much money in here now. What are you going to do with it? You can get all this stuff. You can buy a new car and all this stuff, right? You can do this and that and this and that and that, this and that and that and that and that. But while that was going on, I just observed the thoughts. I realized that they were there, didn't act on any of them. And the therapeutic thing about making these videos is that I know, like, okay, well, before I do anything with this, I need to go and make this video. So in a way, this is a mindset video for you, but it's also helping me a lot as well, because I knew that if I went and, made some large, stupid purchases or whatever, then I would have to come here and explain it. but at the same time, it's like I knew it would be stupid decisions that I would be making, so I just didn't do anything about it. All right, so it's really simple, right? Okay, so we'll go into the balance sheet here, where I've put. So I went and got my did my balance sheet for today, and all that extra money, except for, you know, there's a limit on how much you can transfer apparently from a checking account to, or out of my checking account. I didn't know that, so I hit that limit. So I left whatever was there in the checking account and then moved the rest of it to my savings. Okay. Now the very easy answer to what you should do when you get a bunch of money is you just follow the plan that you have already put in place for you. So I'm going to go into my savings ledger here, and you see how we have all these goals, all these items, right? That's what we're going to do with it. Okay. We have a lot of unallocated savings to go through, and we have a lot of items that we can do. Okay. Oh, before I forget, right? This is a stock sale, is a long-term capital gains type tax thing. So I'm going to add another item here, capital gains tax, right? And this is going to be, I guess it's going to be, I don't know, what is the IRS? Is that mid priority? I have to put in another 15 grand there because if the IRS doesn't get abolished in the next year and the capital gains tax doesn't go away, then I'm going to have to end up paying this amount, you know, the capital gains on this amount that I got, because it is technically a stock. So this is very easy. All I'm going to go through and do is I'm just going to flush out the coffers, max out the coffers. That's the phrase that came to mind. I'm not really sure why, but all these goals are going to be maxed out. Nice. New shoes, got them. Emergency food, got them. Blanket. Oh, I can get my speaker too. Scooter. I can repay the loan to myself. And I can cover the tax. So effectively what I've done here is I've sped up, I've kind of like sped up time in a way, right? Instead of saving one at a time, 1 month at a time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, when you get a bunch of money, like what just happened to me, you've sped up this time. Basically, I don't know how to really describe this any better, but instead of taking like another 2 or 3 or 4 years for all this to have been maxed out to reach 100%, we just did it in a few seconds. Now, it's not really a few seconds because, yeah, a lot of stuff had to happen before in order for that to come in and happen, but essentially that's what happened. So the short answer is you just do what you already have planned to do. And with this unallocated savings here, the extra amount, right? All this stuff is maxed out. Now I'm going to start asking the question, well, what should I do with that? And, you know, it's almost like the timing is perfect on this, because the next thing that we're going to talk about is investments. And that's the last part of the financial foundation that we're building here. What should we do with that extra unallocated savings that we have? Oh, maybe we can put it into some kind of investments. What should we invest it in? Ooh, I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out in the next video. But that's what you do, guys. That's really it. It's it doesn't change anything. I don't feel any different now, and you know, mid-December and now I don't really feel any different at all. Nothing's changed. Once you get over that period of like freaking out over it and being super excited and your mind's going wild with all these crazy ideas of what you can do and how you can spend it all, life just goes back to normal. That's really it. This it's not really, I mean, I wish I could say like more exciting things about this, but I can't really. That's what it is. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. You can make changes in your life, like what we just did here. We just sped up this whole thing. And that's really nice. Not gonna lie, it's super nice to have all this stuff maxed out. Like, I can spend the rest of the day just going through and saying, okay, I'm gonna get this, right? I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna go to the bike store and get all this stuff now. I'm gonna go buy new shoes. I'm gonna get this emergency food. I'm gonna order it. I'm gonna order this and this and this. Like, I can go on a spree right now and be like, and it's a controlled spree, right? I'm not just shooting blindly from the hip, but I'm going and based on the stuff that I said that I was going to do some time ago, I'm just executing orders that I made for myself. Executing order 66, just kidding. So that's it. That's it for this video. So yeah, let me know if you recently got a big lump sum of money, what did you do with it? I'm curious if you know what you did with it. Let me know. Bye-bye.